Hello, this is a cutout segment from the Easy Allies podcast, which you can catch every Sunday morning here on this channel. Or if you become a patron for $5 a month, you can get early access and get that 2 days early, as well as an extended edition. Thank you and enjoy. Don.
Yes.
Tell me about Volgarr the Viking 2, because I don't even know anything about Volgarr the Viking.
Dude, Volgarr is so sick.
You've been playing this?
Yes.
Huber's played the first one, has not played the second one.
Huber's a big fan of the first one.
Supposed to be really hard.
Ghosts and Goblins, baby.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Like that?
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah, so Volgarr 2. I was a big fan of Volgarr 1. And Volgarr 1, it was a sort of a modern-day retro side-scrolling, very difficult, platformer action game. And 2, I think it came out, I want to say 2016, 2017, probably something like that. Extremely difficult, very, precision.
Hard.
Yeah, I definitely didn't. I actually never beat the first one.
So hard. I never beat it either.
You did? Oh, that makes me feel good.
So hard.
It was brutal. And so I was pumped for the second one because, one of the things I was actually looking forward to was just a little more accessibility in terms of what they were actually touting in their advertising and stuff, saying, well, they made it a little bit easier. So, yeah, let's check it out. Some of the mechanics and stuff at play here. Here you see your Volgarr, and initially one hit will kill you. But as you can see, you find these treasure chests which upgrade. You see the different upgrades I've collected on the top left there, which give me the flaming sword, boots, a shield, all kinds of different things. Makes my sword more powerful, be able to move faster, various upgrades. And each one of those upgrades also counts as an extra hit point. So that does help nice. But that was a similar system to the first one. And
I don't think I see enough cheap flying enemies. You're comparing this to Ghosts and Goblins.
Just so so they do ease you in a little bit more. This is the very first level of the game right here you're seeing, okay? So they really
there you go. Oh,
yeah,
sacrifice.
They ease you in. And I actually already had a little bit of practice here, so I would have died already a couple times probably, but this is pretty early. So, what can I say about it? At first glance, I thought this was going to be a big change, even graphically, from the original. The graphics are beautiful, pixel art, as you can see, really nice. And when I actually, during playing this, I decided to go back to the original and play that a little bit.
So hard.
And not only did it remind me how hard it was, but I actually reminded me of a couple other things. That this isn't necessarily that big of a visual leap, what I initially thought when seeing the trailer from the original one. It actually looks pretty similar, The soundtrack in this game should be brought up. It is beyond epic and amazing. Ooh. I was playing it here one day, and I think it was echoing down the hallway, and Huber came down. He's like, what are you playing? He thought I was playing God of War. And there's just beyond epic and intense, but it was only lowly Volgarr.
What the hell's going on?
Yeah, he was like, what? I mean, it's just beyond intense, but very excellent. There's a little zoom out mechanic you can see here. You use the trigger to zoom out so you can see a little more. I wish it wouldn't zoom back in automatically. Sometimes I wish you could just stay zoomed out. Right. Really, a lot of times they surprise you with stuff that's coming on screen. So you have a jump, a double jump. The double jump, as you can see, activates this attack. And once you launch, you can't change your direction in air. You see your spear can be used as platforms. You got to dodge there. Now here, what happens here? So I'm at play with it. Okay, so that was a power up I just used there. I took a hit there. So when you pick up that one upgrade, that'll kill everything on screen when you actually do get hit. Okay, this right here is a checkpoint. They added these checkpoints. At first, I didn't realize I was breaking these checkpoints. You can break the checkpoints to get extra treasure.
Yeah,
and
Shovel Knight does that.
Yeah, so at first, the tutorial explains a little bit, but it really doesn't honestly explain everything that they should, because they don't even mention that and stuff. Obviously, it seems obvious, but at first I was like, oh yeah, I'm just getting treasure out of these things. I didn't even realize they're checkpoints for a second. But yeah, they're checkpoints, so that's nice. Yeah, so look at this brutal death now. Now I was just playing for 2 minutes all the way back to the start. That was partially my fault because...
It's entirely your fault because you smashed every checkpoint.
Yeah, I smashed every checkpoint, right.
Things.
Now you see I'm green Volgarr. This is from a later clip. When you continue in this game, this is a controversial thing. Yeah, I think several times, I want to say 5 or 6 times, you continue as this now zombie Volgarr, who now I believe you don't take either as much or any damage, as much physical damage directly. The thing that's weird about this, though, is once you are on the zombie form, you keep continuing like that, and you can't you got to essentially restart your game to start from the very beginning to go back to like regular form. So it's an odd decision. It's a weird thing because even though they're making it easier by being like, oh, you have continues now, you have checkpoints, you have this and that. It's like, in a way, it really wasn't easier at all from the first one, it felt like, because you end up because first of all, when you die and go to the checkpoints, you lose all your upgrades. So usually you're in a pretty tough place in the level at that point, and you're going to maybe just stat. I found myself, I'd continue from a checkpoint, and then suddenly I die like 2 or 3 times very quickly, and I'm like, dang it, and then when you continue, you have to go back to the beginning of the level. And the thing about it is just the regular gameplay of it, there's a precision to everything. And I found that there wasn't a lot of like, although it took some experimentation to find kind of a correct way to get through it apart, I didn't find a lot of areas where it's like there were like 2 or 3 or 4 ways to do things. It's like there's pretty much one way to do the stuff, and you just gotta kind of figure it out, and then you make your way through. So the task of being sent back and retreading the same ground gets laborious, and it gets honestly tiring. And some of these levels, I was telling Huber, the length of them are insanely long, especially when I got to like World 2 and stuff. I wasn't timing it, but I want to say some of these levels, you're making progression for like 5 minutes straight, which is like insane on a side-scrolling level, So sure, you have a couple. So to be sent back to the beginning of that, then
it's taxing. It's taxing.
Oh, it was discouraging, is what it was, Huber. So it's like it feels good, the gameplay feels good, and all that in the moment to moment. But when you're retreading the same areas, doing in the exact same manner, because you're not really like. You discover little things here and there, but you're not really discovering like massive different ways to, run through these sections. It just gets like I would lose my focus a little sometimes when I'd have to retread the areas because it would become almost a little boring, honestly. Now, look, it brought up in my mind Trials a lot because of the fact that it's a similar kind of thing of like, in order to progress, they expect you to like retry and retread these same areas. But the thing that's so different, and obviously it lends itself to Trials, is like, first of all, you have the physics-based gameplay, but you have checkpoints everywhere in Trials. You might have 20 checkpoints through a stage instead of like 2 or 3 on this one. And so a lot of the areas you're figuring out in incremental little bursts. So you might rerun an incremental section of the stage in Trials 20 times, but and it gets frustrating in the moment, but once you're through that, it's like you keep moving, and then the goal is like, okay, at some point you're going to get good enough that you can get through the whole thing without having to redo all the checkpoints. But with this, it's not the case. Even between one checkpoint to the other sometimes, and there it is where I haven't destroyed one. So you see it's lovely. Yeah. Sometimes when I'd activate one of these, I just stand there for a while and wait because I wouldn't want to be killed. I just enjoy the scenery for a little bit. Nice
Warm your hands by the flames.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful colors, though. The art is lovely. The game itself is lovely and it's fun. It is a good game. It's challenging.
It's ruthless.
I think it's ruthless. I think it would be a very fun game actually to play with someone, couch co-op style, just handing the controller back and forth kind of deal. Actually, would probably be kind of satisfying. Now, this boss here,
mirror match.
You actually see him. I'm fighting him in his ogre version here, so I'm not taking damage. But he actually was pretty easy. The first time I beat this boss, the boss was not that challenging here. But later on, oh man, it gets nasty. So. What else can I say about it? I mean, it's a tough thing. They do let you continue. Okay, so for instance, when you get to like World 2, World 3, etc., you can continue from World 2 and 3, but you can't go back and replay stages. And again, once you get Volgarr, you've continued too many times, it's like it's a real penalty that once, you basically, if you don't want to do that, you have to go all the way back to the beginning. So it's a couple of odd choices I think they made. I think it's a difficult... Look at this. This is jolly, though. You go back to your cleanup between levels and all your treasure falls down.
Sick.
You can like jump around.
Oh, it just fills up that space.
Yeah,
that's
thing
great.
is filled up. That thing is nice and satisfying. So charming. A lot of charm in this whole game. And they change it up a lot. Okay, so here you're getting a little bit of an idea. Now, this is a very early game, too, so no spoilers. But you see they do change up the environments quite a bit. Now we're in like, Pirates of the Caribbean or something. You got these crustacean creatures and all this stuff. These pirate ships is fun. But, some of the level design, I would just say, wasn't like super interesting, and it was long. You know what I mean? So
it felt long.
And then the gameplay itself is like, it's fine and it's tight and it's good. Very similar to the first one, honestly. but there's nothing, like insanely fun necessarily about the traversal and everything, as you can see here. Like it works, but it's not like you're having a blast doing it or something like that. And so that just, I think, is exacerbated when you're like retreading those same areas and stuff like that, the way it forces you to do it. So I wish that they kind of ultimately, I would say, like, yeah, it's worth it. If you like the first one, it's going to be probably very similar to that. I don't know if it's better or not, because like I said, I haven't beaten this one either yet. It's very like, but yeah. So it's a fun romp, but it's a challenging romp, and you just got to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
And it's a game too that's like, the other difficult thing I guess I found about it was like, you get in the groove of it. And when you get in the groove, it's obviously like anything that has a challenge level like this, it starts feeling better and better, right?
Right.
So when you're in the groove of it, it's actually feeling really good. And it inspired me to like go back. I started playing, I just like started going back to like RoboCop, Terminator, Super Nintendo. I started playing some like frustrating old platformers from back in the day, and I was like appreciating those. And then I was coming back to Volgarr, and I was like, you know what, this game kicks so much ass. And I was like back up on it because I was starting to get down. Then I was getting back up because I played some old brutal platformers from back in the day. But then as I was playing it again, I took a little break for like a few days and then came back to it.
Oh yeah.
And I had my save file, so I was like, okay, cool, I can continue my game. But then I died so quick because I just wasn't in the groove still. You can like literally lose the groove for a few, and so then suddenly I'm like, you essentially have to reset your game and going through the whole levels again that you're like, you get very familiar with them, you know what I mean? So it's a kind of like tricky thing with this Volgarr 2. There's a lot to like, but it's kind of like the first one where it's like, if you're okay just being like, I don't know if I'm going to beat this game, but I might dabble with it. And again, I think it could be like a lot of fun just like playing with someone so you can blow out, some of that steam is like not just being built up in your own head kind of deal. But I did enjoy it. And when I get in the zone and when I stick with it, it was very, very satisfying, just like any of those old school platformers. So in that sense, it's a success because that's what, the genre used to be like in a lot of ways.
Yeah, the only reason I ever beat Ghosts and Goblins and Super Ghouls and Ghosts was because in college I said I was going to. I sat down. I was like, I'm only playing these games until I finish them. And it just became this like super intense grind, and I think like setting myself up for that, just being like, yo, these are the only games I'm gonna play, nothing else matters, whatever, I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna sleep, I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna go to class, whatever, and play these games. I feel like Volgarr is a similar situation, Don, where it's like you have to like put on your driving gloves, so to speak,
right?
So accurate.
And just absolutely prepare and commit to the slaughter.
Yeah, no, it's a great way to put it. When you are committed to it, and then you're like living that commitment, it's sad. It is fun when you're in that moment. It's just like, yeah, you kind of have to stick to the moment. I don't know how you beat Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Do you know I still haven't beaten that bloody game? Where I got to the end, and I got to the end.
You didn't have the item?
When it sent me back, it's one of literally in my entire life. I have a few video game moments in my life where I just like abandoned all hope on Earth, and like just like, one of them was what was the other? I forgot what it was. When I went through my, I think it was like Top Gun for the NES. I threw my cartridge into my neighbor's yard. There's only a few times when I've lost all hope because of a video game, and Super Ghouls and Ghosts was one of those.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I had a similar thing with Volgarr 1 done. I was like, I think I'll just wait for 2 at this point. This is brutal.
Yeah, it was funny when I went back to 1, actually. I was thinking like, because I was having trouble with 2, and then I'm like, I don't know if this is that much easier. Is it me? What's going on? So I went back to 1, and no, it's more similar to 1 than you'd actually think in terms of difficulty and stuff. Yeah, for different reasons. The stages are a lot longer, I would say, too. So yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much, Don.
Yeah.
Thank you.